All right, everyone. Well, welcome back. And today we have a very special Easter surprise for everyone. Today we are joined by a true icon of combat sports, the legend, the gunslinger from the Gold Coast, a man whose name is synonymous with Australian fighting pride, John Wayne Parr. So, John, firstly, thank you so much for joining us today. It is a true privilege for us. Getting straight into it, John, the first thing I wanted to ask you is, throughout your life, you've had the opportunity to move around a fair bit from Queensland to down south to over to Pattaya in Thailand. Was having the opportunity to travel and to live in so many different places and then to be exposed to so many different gyms and coaches and training styles, was that beneficial in your early development as a fighter and martial artist?
I believe so. I was very lucky to take little bits and pieces from different gyms that I happened to train at. And then I believe that's what helped me live in Thailand for so long. I was always the new kid, always having to adapt to different surroundings and different coaches and different styles. So when it came time to move to Thailand, it was just normal to be the new kid again, and having to adapt and having to learn a new language and new way of living. So I definitely believe it helped in that aspect. So I'm very fortunate how life worked out, and it sort of sucked at the time, but at the same time, it was beneficial in the end.
Yeah.
John, obviously, your incredible body of work as a fighter speaks for itself. But for us, we want to pull the curtain back a little bit, and just a sense of what is your opinion? What has been, in your opinion, what has been the most humbling moment for you as a coach? Someone who is passing on their knowledge to the next generation of up and coming fighters. Mainly at Burnchu.
Oh, that's a good question. Just the fact that people walk into the gym for the very first time, have no idea how to throw a jab or a punch or their footwork, and then it's like molding clay. So every day they came in, you work the clay, and eventually they start putting combinations together. They start holding their own and sparring. You start getting them fights, and they start winning trophies and then belts, and then to see them succeed as fighters from absolutely nothing to all the way up. It's quite humbling to see them. And then when they succeed, you succeed, and it's all beneficial for the gym as well, for attracting more students and everything else. So. I get such a rush, not only when I compete, but also to see my students be successful as well. It makes me feel quite happy as well. So I really enjoy the whole process.
Yeah, awesome. So speaking on your life as a coach, John, when you look at the generation of fighters that are currently under your wing, what is it you think that they bring to the ring that's going to set them apart from the competition, either here in Australia or overseas?
It's so crazy because every single person is an individual. So no matter how much I can push somebody, but it's up to each person to how bad they want it. What's their drive? What's their desire? Is the girlfriend going to be a pain in the ass? Is the job going to hold them back for longer hours so they can't get the training? There's so many different things that stop someone being successful. Just life just gets in the way. Playing adult, all these different responsibilities. But the ones that are hungry and the ones that want it and the ones that have that drive, then it's fun. Then you go on the adventures and you go overseas and you get to be part of creating something really, really awesome for their own legacy. So I've been very fortunate to have such a fun lifestyle, and then when you can lead someone to have that same sort of lifestyle, it's so rewarding to see them successful.
John, you've had the opportunity to fight in arenas and stadiums all over the world. Have you noticed if there's a difference in the energy with the fights that you've had in Queensland or Australia? What sets them apart from fights that you've had overseas? The arenas, and what's the energy like in Queensland, maybe Australia, that sets apart from the world?
Australia's awesome. When I used to fight an Evolution in Brisbane, the crowd used to go crazy. If you had something exciting, people would jump up on their chairs and start screaming and yelling. And they've had a couple of bevies by this stage, so they get
a couple.
So they get pretty loose, which excites me even more because just the raw. And then you go to Thailand, and Thailand's all betting. So everything's chaos in between rounds. Everyone's got their hands up trying to different odds, and they're all calling each other out. And then you go somewhere like Japan where everyone's so quiet and so it's like it's illegal to cheer. So everyone sits there all and they're saying, "Oh,
yeah.
Back to quiet again." So yeah, each country has a different vibe. Japan is amazing just because the fans are so insane outside of the stadium. They'll just mob you in the hotel or walking down the street or going to 7-Eleven. Thailand's more business, is more betting, so it's a bit funny again. Australia's just because it's so weird. You go overseas, you'd be so successful. As soon as you land back in Australia, no one cares. Everyone just looks at you like, oh, that's just Johnny. Yeah. No worries. Yeah. it's really cool.
Yeah.
I was very lucky to go to Montreal and hang out with George.
Wow.
And then seeing him getting mobbed every second of the day, it's like, oh, as much as I want to be famous, after seeing him not being able to walk down the street or go to a nightclub or just be normal, he's like he's a prisoner of his own success. Yeah, he's so famous that he can't even go down the street anymore. So I'm very lucky in Australia. Like everyone just they acknowledge you, but they don't really interrupt your day or try and get in your face for photos. And so in that respect, Australia is the best, definitely for sure.
Yep, for sure. So, John, your bread and butter is obviously Muay Thai and kickboxing, but you are also a long-time supporter and massive fan of MMA. As fans ourselves, we'd love to ask you, what are some fights in MMA for 2022 that you are excited to see?
Jeez. Oh, yeah, we have to talk. What's his name? Poirier's next fight. No, not Poirier. Gaethje, sorry.
Charles Oliveira.
Charles Oliveira and Gaethje. That's going to be so cool. I can't wait for that one. And then just everything. I'm just excited. I'm a fan of fighting, so if it's a good fight, I'm there. UFC's been going crazy. One Championship's amazing. Bellator's amazing. I just like a good fight. That's all I care about. I don't care about the organization. I just like to chew. I like the fact that MMA guys aren't afraid to fight MMA champions. It's a shame that UFC doesn't do crossover events because I think one champion versus UFC or Bellator versus UFC it'd be so amazing. Imagine being double champ of both organizations. Such a it really put the champions on a pedestal.
We spoke to Tan Lee about that on Saturday. And
exactly. I just seen his interview recently where he just mentioned that he'd love to defend his belt against one of the UFC guys. So, I think it's Alex. He's in the same weight division, Alex.
Yeah.
So that'd be so cool. But I guess Dana has so much pride, and then why would he risk his reputation losing to? So I can understand where he's coming from, but it's just a shame for the fans to miss out on epic battles.
Yeah, 100%. John, you've talked about the influence, with One and Mr. Chatri and the growth that it's had on Muay Thai and making household names like yourself, Rod Tang, Stamp Fairtex, more popular. Could you see the next generation of Muay Thai fighters raise the bar in terms of popularity now that there is an organization like One Championship really striving to make Muay Thai more popular?
I really hope so. When you see the Thais in Thailand and you see how hard they fight and you see how exciting the fights are, it's such a shame that we don't get the credibility that I think a lot of the fighters deserve. And it's also just exposure. You got shows like UFC that they're getting the names out there and getting the fights out there, and people can witness them with their own eyes. Where you go somewhere like Thailand or even Australia, you're fighting world class guys, but no one gets the exposure that to the world stage. Whereas an organization like One, all of a sudden you're worldwide, and it's so crazy. That first fight against Nikki Holson that I had, even though I lost my head kick. The next day I opened my phone and I had 3,000 DMs waiting for me, even commiseration on the fight. And it's like I've never been so inundated, even though I lost by knockout too. And the fans were still so overwhelming and so supportive and don't give up and we love you and keep going. It just really helps lift your spirits even after a hard loss. But yeah, and then so the funny part is what really annoys me in this day and age is people complaining about their prize money. So you see all these guys making 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, and they're probably getting pay-per-view points too. So it could be in the millions, and they're still whinging. And here we are in Australia, you're fighting for like $3,000 or $5,000. Let's say, even if you got 10 grand, 10 grand. So instead of being happy or appreciative of the fact that you just made 10 grand, you can imagine back in the old days when you first started as an amateur, you're fighting for free, you're fighting for a trophy. All of a sudden now you don't have to work, you can fully concentrate on training. Your next fight, your prize money is probably going to go up again, so you might be making 15 grand instead of 10 grand. But yeah, so it's so crazy that, and then the fans too. I can understand the fans' point of view, but as a fighter, like, you just made 10. Like, you don't have to go to work for a couple months now until your next fight. So I just don't understand why people. And then the basic concept of a contract. Sorry. The basic concept of a contract. You have a 5-fight deal. You know you're going to get this much per fight for the next 5 fights. Like, when you sign the contract, I bet you're smiling and happy and everything was awesome. And then you have 2 fights. You won 2 fights by knockout. You can't start demanding friggin' 10 times the amount of prize money just because you had a couple wins in a row. You signed a contract. You know what you're getting. Yeah. And, so yeah, it's quite annoying.
That's actually a perfect segue, John, into the next question, which is, for me as a fan, I was sitting there on my couch a week and a half ago, and I saw that video of you getting a call from someone that won about the $50,000 bonus from your last fight. And for me, mate, it was so powerful to see us as fans seeing your reaction. And what really stood out for me was hearing you say, "I just paid off my house." That's a massive, massive moment. It just, like, I was sitting there like, wow, I rewatched the video 5 times because I was like, that's your life's work, ends up to this point, and you've just paid off your house. Your last fight, it didn't go your way, but your last fight, what a way to finish. Can you talk us through that moment of self-satisfaction and pride that you had achieving that goal? Couldn't be a more so fitting time at the end of your career.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so happy. As a young teenager getting into the sport, I had 2 ambitions in life: to see as many countries for free as possible, to travel the world and fight and compete. And then the second was to try and have something to show at the end of my career. And then being in the sport for so long, you see so many guys that retire and they end up as taxi drivers or bouncers, or they didn't save, they piss it all up against the wall. They've got nothing to show for it. So I thought, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy to retire with nothing. So I made sure I tried to save as much as possible, and I wanted something to show at the end of the day. And then I wanted to influence my own children. So at the end of the day, I said, see this house? I happened to buy this through my passion. So follow your dreams. Why go and work for someone and make someone else money when you have a desire to be great at something? Chase it, do it, live it. If it doesn't work out, you can always get a job later. But you're only a young man or a young woman for a short period of time. So capitalize on those years while you can, and then if you don't live the dream, at least you have the opportunity to live that lifestyle for a while and still enjoy doing what you're doing. Yeah. So I'm very lucky that my kids are falling in love with martial arts. My son's jiu-jitsu, my daughter's boxing Muay Thai. She wants to get to MMA next. My son's thinking about MMA soon. My little 7-year-old, she's going to have her first Muay Thai fight soon. So
that'll be amazing.
That's so cool. It's so amazing. It's so much fun to go into the fights and support them, and then it's really. And then if it doesn't work out, I have no complaints. At least they tried. It's better to do that and then and then get old and all of a sudden have regrets. That there's nothing worse than to have those regrets when you're later. So whatever it is that you love, do it.
For sure. And I think that's a really powerful message as well that you just put across. And to touch on your kids doing martial arts, an old coach of mine always used to say, if you have kids, you want your kids to be the one that know how to take someone down and defend themselves if they have to. But John, we just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today on an Easter Monday. We know that it's a public holiday, and for us, this is an absolute privilege to talk to someone who's been so influential internationally and here in Australia for martial artists that I know, as well as fans of the sport. So John Wayne Parr, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best, man, because you deserve it.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it's what a ride. It's been absolutely amazing to, like I was saying before in my retirement speech, just to be a martial artist for so long, and to have so many adventures, and now to raise the students that go on the same adventures, and then be a representative of Australia. I carry that pride with that flag with pride. So yeah, and hopefully I can open the doors for other people in Australia that want to travel overseas and live the same lifestyle. So. Yeah, thank you so much for that interview, gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, John. Looking forward to it. See you, mate.